Awesome. Everybody, so excited to have you here. I appreciate you clapping for me, but I know you're really here for Peter Cullen and Frank Welker. I am very proud to say these two are my friends. They are amazing people, absolute legends when it comes to acting and voice talent. And as much as we all know, the characters Optimus Prime and Megatron have become mortal enemies. I can definitely say the two of these guys are best of friends and almost brothers. I have brothers, and we know that brothers are friends and enemies at times. So what you have here today is definitely an exciting panel. We're going to hear these two really sound off and tell you some great stories. We have some great content, in-booth video footage, as well as some old G1 footage. But we should really get the thing going. So I am proud to announce to stage my friends and your heroes, Peter Cullen and Frank Welker.
Nice to see you all. Double wow. And Peter, good to see you.
It's good to be seen.
Man, good to see you.
Thank you, Frank. So, guys, thank you for making the time, the trip out here. We are, again, so happy to see the huge amount of fans. I know it's hard to see. They trust you. Trust me, they're out there. I know the lights are on us. But we're going to have a lot of fun here with you guys. We're going to turn back the clock a little bit. All right, we're going to go back in time. But we really look forward to hearing from you guys how you got here and how the stories evolved. But I think for the fans here, I want to give them a special treat that you only really get at HasCon, and give them a peek really behind the voice into the recording studio. So we're really going to start out with a video clip of each of you guys. We'll start with Peter in the recording booth from Transformers Prime. Anyone here a huge Transformers Prime? All right, so we're gonna cue a quick video and take you back about 7-8 years in time to Transformers Prime. So we're gonna roll a quick video.
Autobots, take your positions and follow Ratchet's lead while I make my stand. Roll out!
Whoa!
They scared me.
So Peter, that was only a couple of years ago. I would love if you could share with the fans how the voice of Optimus has really evolved. And soon we're going to hear what the G1 Optimus sounded like as well. But there's definitely been a maturity of this character over the last 30 years. Can you share with the fans kind of how you got to that and how you really poured yourself into that character?
Well, it's a great question, and I've answered it many times.
Some of these fans have not heard from you before.
Mr. Cullen, may I help you with your chair?
Are you trying to move him away from you, Frank?
It's just beginning. When I was starting the process to audition for Optimus Prime, it was a normal situation where you read a character breakdown. You're told basically what the animated series is going to involve or about. And in this case, it was described as a hero, but he was a truck. So when I described this very scenario to my brother Larry, who was a former Marine, and back from Vietnam. And, Larry returned as a captain, and he's a medaled captain, Bronze Star, a couple of Purple Hearts. And we were talking one time after I was informed of this breakdown of the Transformers, of Hero being a truck, and I said those words to him. Yeah, he's a truck, and he laughed. And he said, Peter, how do you be a hero and a truck at the same time? I said, I don't know, Larry, I don't know. He said, well, if you're going to be a hero, be a real hero. Don't be a Hollywood hero, you know, doing all the yelling and screaming and pretending you're tough when you're not, you know. I said, you know, he said, be strong enough to be gentle, you know, and be honest and caring, compassionate. And those words really struck me as I was getting in the car on my way to that audition. And the audition had a paragraph of Optimus Prime, very similar to Frank reading, you know, Megatron, perhaps the same day. Anyway, it's about a paragraph where you incorporate your interpretation of the breakdown of Optimus Prime and put it into sound. Well, I could just remember my brother Larry talking to me, and his voice was similar to mine. He's a lot taller. He was 5 inches taller than me, and but he had a baritone voice as well. And I could just remember his tone. And he said, Peter, if you're going to be a hero, be a real hero. Don't be, you know, don't go running around and acting it tough, you know. I said, okay. So when those lines came, my name is Optimus Prime. That just came out of me, and I went, oh, this is going to work.
Yeah.
Larry is with me.
Oh, awesome.
From the planet Cybertron. And I went on like that, and 3 weeks later, I had the role. Yeah, I'm grateful for all of you. Believe me, it's a bond. It's a bind. We bonded together. For those who remember G1, Optimus Prime, we're a family.
Yeah.
All right, and I have to ask, because that video ended with it, and I can tell you, me and I'm sure a lot of the fans out here use roll out every day in their vernacular. As I tell my kids, we're going to the mall, it's roll out. Have you ever said that to a cabbie or an Uber driver? Heading to dinner. Ever once?
No.
Oh, all right. I have.
But he has.
Sure he has. All right. So, Frank. Okay, now yes, I picked. You're used to this now. Optimus always goes first. The hero.
That's true.
Goes first. So playing second fiddle as the villain.
That's a dog.
Yeah, crying dog. So, all right. Let's take a peek at Frank in booth for Transformers Prime.
Highly unlikely, Optimus, as I am infused with their very might.
All right, so it seems like while Peter and Optimus have some great lines, the laugh. That laugh has been very iconic, and we're going to hear a little more of that sinister laugh as we play some more clips. What was the inspiration for that? I hope, was it your older brother as well, or
No, you know, Peter's story is really a very, very wonderful story, and unfortunately, my side, coming from the comedy side, and not really having that kind of an experience, I had to draw from some of my bad experiences to find Megatron. But actually, in this particular scene, in the laughter, one thing about Transformers is we are transforming. So you remember the G1 voice was, I am Megatron, leader of the Decepticons. Well, in Prime, we changed that, and he transformed a little bit into a little bit more. I am Prime, not Prime. But it was a little bit different texture, more larger, more human, not so much of my mechanical stuff that I did before. But the laughter was basically still from G1, so it was and so it kind of transcended through, you know, even to this guy. So I would say that that's a little bit of combining G1 with the new voice, and the laughter was still there. And the same experience that Peter had as far as auditioning, we went into this little studio on Ventura Boulevard in California. and they had all of the pictures of the characters drawn out, which is really nice. For me, I like visual. If somebody describes us, say, okay, we want you to play a tree. And the tree is more leaves than a normal tree. Right away I'm going, why is he saying that? You know, when I'm gone. But if I see the tree, then, I can see a tree, or whatever, you know. But visually, it's so nice to see that. So I was saying,
Peter Science.
roll out! So he's not in danger of losing his job, trust me.
I have to say something. I don't mean to interrupt you, Frank, but when we would record in the studio on any given recording session, it was inevitable at any moment that Frank would come out with a sound at a very inappropriate time that would totally distract you, but would sound as if it was coming naturally from somewhere in the studio. So he could not be to blame for it. Oftentimes it would be maybe the drip from an air conditioner going into a pail of water. It could have been anything.
Oh my God.
I've heard the bird sound.
You know, the thing that we like doing though too, that Peter like this, we have, you know, very sensitive engineers. You know, they always want to make sure the sound is correct. They don't want any mistakes because the director yells at them, the actors yell at them, everybody yells at them, and they go, oh, yeah, well, I'll get it, no one will be perfect. So we would always go in and say, let's go, Peter's got to get out, he's got another session, let's move, come on, come on. So I'd say, well, let's test the mics. I used to get him, remember that, Peter? Yeah. Then there was the,
How about the person speaking loud behind the door, and the engineer would say, all right, we have to do that again, we have to do that again. There's somebody talking outside the studio. Be him.
or you know, you always did this one, I'm sure that you've seen other guys do this now, but we used to do that. We sort of created this as the intermittent mics. He's allowed to aim, and in an ear, it's aim go, God, going
Only Megatron can do that.
Oh yeah, that was clearly you're on a Megatron.
I did the death scene as Optimus Prime in the movie in a long time ago. It's a very long time ago. 1986, the one with Orson Welles, and I'm dying in it, and Frank is hovering over me as I'm going gasping through these horrible lines that tell me there go my car payments.
Yeah, oh God.
And I finished this thing choking to death, trying to do the best I can. Frank will just look over and say, are you gonna do it like that? Are you really gonna do it like that?
Not true.
I'm dying here, Frank.
Very
He
sympathetic.
died before, how did you know?
He was so sympathetic. Roll out.
What does a truck sound like when it dies?
Oh, you've got to hear Peter do a semi truck.
Oh, yes,
I
yes.
should do that too. But I mean, a lot of people don't realize Peter does incredible impressions and sound effects. I mean, he's not just this brilliant voice, which he is, but he has some very interesting things. Do your truck.
I'm saving all those sounds for when we release our
noise album.
Our noise album. We're doing that and some other stuff. It'll be quite a day when that comes out. I can't.
And then, yeah, shit.
You do the ducks.
Oh, the ducks.
See?
This just got off the rails.
We promise we won't do this to each other, and then we do. So, so don't shoot at, don't shoot at.
Don't ask.
All right, so what the ducks were, when I first started, actually, I had a stand-up routine. It was about 12 minutes of not very funny material. which is not really good for a stand-up comedian. But anyhow, I would end my act with 12 ducks singing "We Wish You a Merry Christmas."
Oh my
And
God.
it was 15 ducks, but 3 walked. So this is a choir of 15 ducks singing "We Wish You a Merry Christmas." I got the other 3 back.
Is everybody ready? We wish you a Merry Christmas. We wish you a Merry Christmas. We wish you a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. Everybody, we wish you a Merry Christmas. We wish you a Merry Christmas. We wish you a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.
Oh my God.
The Duck Christmas song is not on my script of questions.
Oh, I'm little off with your...
Little script. So.
Oh, sorry, buddy.
All right, so yeah, so we're gonna go back in time. Like I said, we're gonna throw a clip up. You guys will get to watch it up here.
Whoa.
So yeah, I get a full peek, right? So you don't have to get up and down. All right, so we're gonna play a quick clip, and I'm sure most, if not all of you, will remember this, and then again we'll flash back. So enjoy.
You destroy everything you touch, Megatron. Because everything I touch is food for my hunger for power. No, I'm going to end your hunger once and for all. Almost trying, but almost doesn't get the job done. You can't stop me. You're old, Megatron. Yesterday's model, ready for the scrap heap. We'll see who's ready for the scrap heap. Junk. That's what you are. Junk. Silence! When I'm through with you, Pride, there won't be enough pizzas to sweep.
So my first question is a very serious question. A lot of talk about being hungry in that scene. Did you record that during lunch? So no, in all seriousness, scenes like that, did you get to record those together often, or did you find yourself following one another in the studio? Because there's such a great chemistry of those characters in that scene.
I was more worried about falling off that bridge we were on. And I was wondering how many bags of helium did I breathe in before I was giving my speech?
I'm gonna get you, Megatron.
Oh, that must have been 1935. I was just a kid.
When do you know what year that was? About mid or early 80s?
Yeah.
Early 80s, yeah.
Gotta be-
So I
That was
was
84.
84.
Yeah.
84, yeah.
Yeah.
I was 18.
We weren't really locked into the characters yet, I don't think.
No,
We weren't locked in.
I was.
Clearly, as you're winning that fight. But would you, in a scene like, would you be together in
Actually, yeah, and nowadays, more often than not, you record independently or individually. And for Peter and I think Peter will agree, we like to work together when we can, because we feed off each other. We've known each other for so long, and our characters, so we know them so well that it really helps to record them, except for in the features, because the features, you have to concentrate so much on the scene, and we're not always together in those scenes. But when we're fighting or interacting, it's kind of nice. And in the G1 stuff, we were definitely together, and we battled right next to each other, and he used to spit on me all the time.
Would you spit on your mic too? Just to...
Well, every time, you mention G1, it just brings to mind so many happy memories, so many wonderful memories, and such a great cast, the people that we worked with constantly. Sue Blue here today at some point.
Yeah.
It's going to be a great, exciting day for us to be able to induct her, into the HasCon Hall of Fame. It's really I haven't seen Sue for a while, but she's one of the greatest gals in the whole world, and certainly deserves that tonight, you know.
That was a spoiler.
We laughed a lot.
We'll let you have that. And so, and back then, I know you were just getting into character, but were you guys given the opportunity, given your backgrounds, to ad-lib, to kind of bring some different lines to the characters, since it was really, they were new characters, and you weren't walking in at that time to 30 years, right, of a franchise. How much of kind of your own dialogue, or I didn't hear any kind of French-Canadian accents there, so, but...
Well, monsieur, I'm in a hockey rink, eh?
Yes, we are.
You talk like that when you're from Montreal, Canada, eh? Play for the Canadiens. I can see the Zamboni is in the back, you know? And I think a lot of you have a cold rump right now because you're on the ice.
What would you order for breakfast as a French Canadian?
2 eggs side by each other, sunshine side up, 2 pair of toast, bacon parallel, Pepsi May West, brown paper bag to go, that's all.
Yeah!
Sure beats us, you know. 2 eggs and bacon.
There we go.
Not the same. Side by each. You know, when we were doing G1 with Wally Burr, who we just lost, by the way.
Yes, yes.
And Wally, but he was under a lot of pressure to get these shows out because he was doing many shows, and back in those days you could actually do a session for 8 hours. I think we were still doing 8 hours, and then it went to 4 hours, but the business was becoming a renaissance at that period, and guys that were working a lot, we had so many shows to go to. It was like in the old days in radio where you went across the street and you'd go, and then to RKO, and then you'd go over here and here and here. So you could do like 5 shows. Peter, I'm sure, did. You know, we would do sometimes 8, 10 shows a day, and we'd have to go and get picked up and everything. But we tried to stay in the G1 sessions. But in those sessions, it was tight, so we weren't able to get the kind of freedom to ad-lib a lot, but they would take suggestions. But basically, we pretty much had to stay to the script and do what we were kind of told at the time. But whenever you created some spark, they obviously loved it, and the producers and the writers. But not the same in the features. In the features, it's been, at least my experience, that Michael Bay kind of encourages you to ad-lib, and for an actor, that to me, that's heaven. Yeah.
Great. All right, so I'm going to play another clip, guys. I'm sure it's a scene near and dear to your heart, so we're going to quick roll and play from there.
Who's the scrap level now, Prime? You'll never stop me.
Beautiful. There was that last one, right? So we have to show. I don't think we'd ever heard Optimus underwater before. That was fantastic. That was it. It was good. So that ad-lib did not make this.
No, but see, Peter can do it with his throat. I have to cheat. So I go, so I had to cheat.
I don't know if that'll get you much more work, Frank. I don't know.
Nobody wants to shake my hand.
No. Line up after this. So that's a lot of fun. And I think that's where you can see the story evolved, and you see the kind of ups and downs of these characters. And I think that's the fun as the fans here, I'm sure. Who's a fan? So, okay, I want to hear some voices. Who would side this side of the stage with Optimus Prime? All right, this side of the stage with Megatron. about the same. That's about right. So
It's a democracy.
there's a lot of villains out there, I guess.
He flies airplanes, I ride horses. You can't get further away than that.
Awesome. So that was just a
Horse going across the bridge.
Yeah.
I love this guy.
Oh my God.
Peter?
Yeah.
1 man show. All right, we're going to trade blows here. We're going to play another quick clip. I'm sure you guys don't mind. I'm sure most of you are watching these on the weekends as well, and then we'll kind of play from there. So we're going to roll a quick one for you.
Hello again, Megatron. Have a ton of fun. Your aim's improving, Megatron.
Awesome. So your laugh was almost sinister there. You almost had a sinister laugh. It was very close. Very close.
Yeah, we must have been in between just hysterical laughabouts we would have every now and then, and they probably kept that. But we would often, just go out of control, just start laughing because of him and other members of the cast. Not me. I was a leader.
Yes. What he would do, he would get you in trouble, and he's got such a great poker face that he'd go, and turn around, and immediately they'd blame me. Poker face. Now this is true story, because parts of what he says are not true. But what is absolutely true is that about maybe halfway through the first season or second season, they split us up because they had Peter and I working together all the time. So finally they put like 2 or 3 people between us. And it wasn't really our faults, it was the other actors. They always got the job done.
So I love
It took other directors years to figure out that strategy. We did so many different shows together. Has anybody ever seen Mighty Man and Yuck?
There we go. We got a couple hands
One
waving down.
person, I see one hand, 2 hands.
That's how we met. I was Mighty Man and he was Yuck. Yuck being a dog so ugly, he had to wear a dog house over his head. And if he took that dog house off, everything went bananas. He was so ugly, he could start a train wreck.
Typecasting.
Typecasting, I swear.
So Frank, you talked about in a day you would do 8 different shows. As you guys went into Transformers and G1 cartoon, you would think for kids. Clearly, obviously it has transcended that. That specific scene had a little rhyme scheme to it, right? A ton of fun, everyone giggled. How did you approach a cartoon? Did you think about the audience, kids? Were you thinking adults? How would you look at, playing that out, knowing, again, all the other work you were doing wasn't just for kids?
The shows were kind of script driven. If the dialogue indicated certain things, then you would perform that way. And so the shows were kind of the same way. I really didn't kind of have a handle on what age group that Transformers was, because it sort of transcended even in those days, because it was still kind of for rough and tumble maybe boys at the time. But yet, in fact, even when Susan Blue came in with her character, then there was female characters, so it got a little bit more and more both genders, and then, there was kind of that action for adults, and but I can't really remember thinking too seriously about, an age or an audience at the time, but more just concentrating on getting the script and the
Nailing the
dialogue
character.
set for what the director wanted, yeah.
And I think everyone here, right? How many are still watching G1? Anyone? So a testament to both of you. I think you nailed, that while we were all children, I myself loved it as a kid, I still appreciate it, as an older. So kudos to both of you for nailing that one. So I'm going to throw another one. This is a scene, and you're still alive in this scene, Peter and Optimus, but soon to maybe not be. But this scene has some epic lines that have really transcended, this property, and I'm sure a lot of fans out there have some T-shirts that have this line. So we're gonna play, but we'll end it while we're still both alive.
One shall stand, one shall fall. Why throw away your life so recklessly? That's a question you should ask yourself, Megatron. Now, I'll crush you with my bare hands!
Awesome.
Yeah.
That line, one shall stand, one shall fall.
One shall stand, one shall fall.
Yeah.
That cuts through the noise.
Oh my God.
Did you create that line? Seriously?
No.
Oh, I did! I said, Peter, try this. Try this, it'll work, I think. Try it.
Really?
Why throw away your life so... And he does.
But some of the lines like that have, I think it means so much to us.
Yeah, and me too, when I hear that, I mean, that gave me chills. I mean, that one shall stand, I obviously can't do it. But it's, that's one that really stands out.
Yeah, and I think as you guys, again, part of this, and I know both of you are so proud of all your opportunities to be part of this franchise, and you continue to be part of it. How have lines like that helped you continue to bring, Larry and the voice of Optimus just kind of ever present in your life and for you, while your lines may be a little more evil? They're very impactful and mean so much to people.
Well, those particular lines, that just brings you right back into the character. And like I said, I got chills just hearing him and then seeing my reaction. And I've seen little cuts of that on YouTube, and I never can see enough of that. I really do enjoy that.
And I think for those that listen carefully, Stan Bush's You Got the Touch is cranking in the back of that. I know also a favorite. Stan is here as well. Hopefully we'll all get to hang with him. And I think that's part of what's great about this property is just the characters, the music. There's just so much that has really built such a strong history and the nostalgia for these fans, for all of our fans.
And the collectible side of it too. I mean, so you go back to the G1 stuff and Megatron as the gun, and it's just I think it's such a neat thing. And when we do signings, people bring in all the different iterations, and it's just amazing to see the latitude of these characters.
So I know most of you guys have worked together, but I know you're great friends, and you guys have spent not just booth time, but a lot of time over the years. I have to ask, have you ever accidentally said the real name of the other person in booth? Have you accidentally called him Peter instead of Optimus Prime in the midst of a recording? It must happen at least once. I mean, I accidentally misname my kids every day. We all do it, right?
It probably has happened. I can't really remember, but the chances are good.
Chances are good. All right, awesome. All right, I'm going to play one last clip for the crowd, and hopefully we'll get some chuckles out of this one.
Don't leave me, Soundwave.
So Frank, really quick question for you. What was it like to not only talk to yourself, but also carry yourself in an animated?
Well, I was pretty sure I would save myself.
You want to save yourself.
When you're working both ends, you're going to get out somehow.
And we all, how many, you and I have talked about this before.
Yeah.
This is a very interesting story. I think Peter was very honest in his approach to voice casting in this film. I don't know if that was the same for you.
Well, there were so many characters on the table, and I had such an egomaniac. You know, I'm thinking, I'm going to do them all. I'll do that one and that one. And
He could do them all. He's not an egomaniac because he's probably, that's why I call him the king. He is the king.
see why he's my friend. Little dog, big dog. Peter's running for office. I'll be his vice president. But this is what he does to me, see, and everybody thinks it's me on the selecting of the characters, you know. So in reality, you know, or to be honest with you, I just look for fun characters, and all the characters look so interesting, and I'd never, you know, seen really the Transformers before. So I picked a bunch of them, and Wally was so busy at the time, he had maybe G.I. Joe and some other things going, but he just said, oh, I'll pick a couple, come on in. You know, well, of course I took 7 or 8, you know, and he didn't even realize I was reading all these different characters, and then he records them, then it comes back, I guess, to you guys, and you listen to them. And Megatron, when I looked at Megatron and I found out he was the evil guy, I thought, oh man, this would be so great. And I know Peter's gonna get half of these, so I'm gonna have to work my tail off and come up with something maybe that he's not gonna do. And I was thinking, what can I do? No, he'll think of that, no, I'll think of that, I'll think of that. But I had this sort of Barry White voice. Maybe if I do that, then put some scratches. I can do Barry White for Soundwave. Yeah, I can do Soundwave as Barry White. Yes, honey. Shh, I love you, baby. Inappropriate. And then Megatron, I thought, okay, what's he? Well, maybe starting that Scratchy because he's mechanical, scratchy, evil. I want to be Barry White. So that's the long version. You want the short version?
And I think there is a scene in that film where you actually voice like 7 characters in one scene with Soundwave and his entire cast of characters, which is hilarious.
Makes my throat hurt now.
You don't have to do it. You do not have to do it.
Oh, no.
Well, everyone's seen the film. I think everyone's seen the 86? So we're good there. Awesome. So, you know, Peter, I'm going to ask you a question because I think, you know, again, something that I know is near and dear to your heart in that being part of this property, I think, has allowed you to take this and really bring others into it. And if you can talk a little bit about, if you don't mind, all the great work you've done with NASA and OpsPark and what the OpsPark Challenge, a little bit about what that means to you, because I know it means a lot, and a lot of fans here might not know about that, and I think you're, again, in our prior conversations, you're being part of Transformers, and this character has given you, I think, a lot of strength and passing it on to the next generation.
Well, first of all, it is such an honor to be associated with the great people from NASA and the Goddard Space Flight Center. Coincidentally, here in the audience is one of the great guys from Goddard Space Flight Center and NASA is Darryl Mitchell. And right there, Darryl Mitchell. He is what this man achieves for inspiring the younger generations into space technology, which is so much involved in all walks of life that I was never aware of. Going back to the late 60s when man walked on the moon, I was captivated by space technology, exploration. I just said, boy, I was in the wrong career. You know, I was a young actor, and I said, if I hadn't wasted my time, you know, I could have been an astronaut or been involved in space. But as it turned out, I was better off as an actor because I wasn't smart enough to be a guy in space. But anyway, what I've learned from NASA, from Goddard, and the Optimus Prime spin-off award, which is what Daryl Mitchell is directly our relationship working together with. Daryl is one of the great minds over at Goddard, and inspiring younger people's minds to broaden their landscape into space and the future of space technology, requiring everything from law to medicine to the actual flying of an aircraft, you know, the way we romantically think of astronauts, you know, and John Glenn and people as such. It is such a cohesive environment that it employs so many aspects of the human mind and imagination. And my involvement with Optimus Prime, and it's poetic perhaps in the sense of being a cartoon and literary and performing, but to work with young kids that can develop an idea from something that has already been invented. They're asked to do something from one of the thousands of inventions that have been brought out of the man's explorations of outer space for the safety of an astronaut. Just think of all the things that have been invented to get a man out there and back again. Well, we use them every day, and these kids are asked to employ it in such a way on a video with their fellow classmates and submit it to NASA, in this case Goddard Space Flight Center. And Daryl Mitchell and his team, they judge the best video. And at the end of the year, we present an award at Goddard in Baltimore. And these wonderful kids come down, and I've fallen in love with them because they're bright, they're smart, really bright, smart kids with great personalities. The type of people that I see that watch cartoons a lot, just that kind of intensity, you know, that they love something so much. And I encourage any kid here today that has not heard about the Optimus Prime spin-off award coming out of Goddard and NASA to look it up on NASA or Google it, Optimus Prime spin-off award, and get your school involved, get your classes involved, get your teachers involved. I think you'd be doing yourself a great favor.
Thank you, Peter. And I think this is just one of the few things that the two of you have done to the industry, to the film business, to animation, to our property and our fans, that it's more than just going into a recording booth and putting a voice to a script. That you are the characters, but not just the voice, but the embodiment. You transcend off the screen. And I love that, and I hope the fans here love and appreciate that. And I also want to say, Frank, sorry to you, but we're hesitant to put Megatron too close to the smart people in NASA. We weren't sure what that would get us for fear of unlocking Unicron, or maybe, you know, crashing the moon into our planet. God knows what may happen. So, all right, well, you know, we're going to kind of wrap here, and we hope that all or many of you will get a chance to see these two amazing, legendary actors later today in our booth. We'll be here again tomorrow. Yes, to sound off, I can almost guarantee that there will be some different dialogue tomorrow. As you can see, they're totally unscripted in many ways. I just water, I promise. Well, we hope you guys had a great time. You guys want to close us out?
Well, first of all, as you can see, my friend Peter is eloquent and impassioned and speaks from the heart. And it's good to be with you, always.